This is the Milo Beasley Show. This is the Milo Beasley Show. There's only one thing you need to know. This is the Milo Beasley Show. And now, here's your host, Milo Beasley.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. And welcome to the Milo Beasley Show. Doot. We're hanging out here in Louisville at SuperCon. My guest this week, very special guest, Patricia Quinn. How are you doing?
I'm fine. It's wonderful to be here. I mean, this is my first time in Louisville, and I like you people.
This is my first time in Louisville as well.
Where are you from?
I'm from Orlando. I've lived in Orlando.
This is my interview, not yours. I'm kidding.
But you're originally from London.
It was a hell of a journey because it's a connection, you know, and the plane was late coming in, so the strain of getting a connection to Louisville, and there ain't that many planes coming here from Dallas.
Oh, so you went from London to Dallas?
Yeah.
So you actually passed Louisville.
Oh, damn it, Janet. I'm going home via Chicago. I don't know where I am. But you mean they sent me a bad route?
Well, you passed Louisville to come back.
I give up.
You could have just parachuted, like.
Oh, I could do that.
You could do that.
Yeah.
Have you ever done anything like that?
I'm from Transylvania. I don't have to parachute.
You're just there. You just warp. Speaking of Rocky Horror, so your lips are the lips on every poster, every piece of merchandise. Do you ever get tired of seeing your lips? You ever be like, man, this could have been a little bit better. Could have been, I had a little bit of a chap that day.
The divide.
There's your contract.
And I just want to say, Mick Jagger, eat your heart out, because we've surpassed you.
Yeah, your lips have definitely surpassed Mick Jagger's lips.
Sorry, Mick.
Sorry, Mick. Not sorry.
Well, I do like Mick.
Oh, you do like Mick. Have you ever met Mick?
I was on a radio show the other day, and they're playing Rod Stewart, and I said, I do like a little Rod. And then I thought, oh, what did I say?
Oh, I don't know if you could say that on the radio. I mean, apparently you did. So, I did want to ask about, you were in Lords of Salem.
Mick Jagger actually wanted to play Frank.
Frank. So Mick Jagger wanted to play Frank.
So did Bowie.
Well, yeah.
Mick Jagger, I met him. He came to the last night of the third week at the Royal Court Theatre, our 40-seat theatre. We were word of mouth, the talk of the town. And there was Mick, Bianca in her white trouser suit and cane, and Elliot Gould waiting at the bar to come in. You know, there's a queue on the street for this upstairs theatre. And I passed them, but I'm a very cool girl, you know, and I passed and I ran up the stairs. I was a bit late to get changed, and I ran up and said, Jagger's in! And I ran down to the ladies' loo because I was a little prudish. And we only had one room as a dressing room, men and women. And it was only an office, not a dressing room. And I ran downstairs, I went into the loo, and someone was in the shower going, oh. I thought, who's that? He says, it's Raina, Pat. It's Raina Burton who's playing Rocky. And I said, what's the matter? He said, my penis is blown up and I can't walk. I got glitter in it because we were covered in glitter.
And glitter?
In those days, glitter was little bits of glass, and you used to prickle going to bed and you couldn't get it off. And I thought, well, don't show it to me. So I went upstairs, and Tim Curry, I knew there was something wrong with him, because when I said, Jagger's in, they was all like, what's the matter? So I go upstairs, and I said, oh. And Nell says, I'll play Rocky. Yes. And as before any there's a million female Rockies
Right,
today,
yes,
but
absolutely,
not
yes.
them. And Jim Sharman, director, came in and said, show cancelled. So Mick and Elliot and Bianca had to go home.
So we could have had a Mick Jagger Rocky.
Our director wouldn't begin to entertain that because nobody could play that like Tim Curry. We began
agree.
on the stage, then Tim Curry came to Los Angeles with Lou Adler, played it at the Roxy. He had Elvis Presley come see him. They knew when Keith Moon was in because the bottles of champagne were lined up. Good old Keith, you know. He was the top of Hollywood. That's Tim Curry. Then we were asked to make the movie. By then, Tim Curry, there wasn't anything he couldn't do with that part.
Right,
Do you understand? So we came as a wonderful stage show to a film. Then we had to have 2 token Americans, and we got Brad and Janet. Susan Sarandon and Boswick. Boswick had won a Tony for Grease on the stage.
Okay.
But I didn't know that, you know.
Right.
Well, he could dance and sing, that boy. But he played the nerd brilliantly. Sarandon thought she couldn't sing. She could. And she hadn't done much. It wasn't as if they were famous or anything. But they slotted in brilliantly. They were truly brilliant. And then there's nobody. And then the greatest thing was, I've just done the Royal Albert Hall in London. And I've just introduced this film at the Royal Albert Hall. It was such an honor. And I had dressing room 1 at the Royal Albert Hall because I was the only person working.
Wow.
And that's the dressing room of Pavarotti, Mick Jagger, my group, Snow Patrol, blah, 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 blah. And I got it all to myself.
As you should.
And I said to my agent, take a picture. And then they said, Miss Quinn, would you please come on stage, do a sound check? I said, of course. I walked on the stage of the Royal Albert Hall and I was amazed. I have been on a million stages and I have never, ever been on anything like that.
Is that your favorite? Is that your favorite venue, favorite stage?
It's the best in the world. So Queen Victoria built for Prince Albert, and it's amazing circular. And there's the Queen's box, and you can touch it from the stage because it's such a thrust. You can touch the boxes, and those boxes are all privately rented, owned, and people rent them out. They cost a fortune, okay?
Okay.
So this was extraordinary. So I stood on that stage. I thought, I'm not just presenting a film on this stage. I'm staying on it.
You stay, yes, of course.
I got to do something, but what? So I go back to my agent in the room. I said, I've got to do something. I've got to think of something. I said, I know. I can talk about Queen Victoria and Prince Albert, who's sitting out there in the garden as a statue covered in gold, and the garden's called Hyde Park. And I, Patricia Quinn, was invited with my husband, Sir Robert Stevens. He was playing King Lear at the time. I went back to Rocky Horror 21 years later, was playing it on the stage at the Duke of York's Theatre, and the Prince of Wales invited us to Sandringham. Prince invited Robert and Pat to Sandringham. So Magenta hung up her fishnets and stilettos, King Lear hung up his crown, and these two headed to Sandringham, Queen Victoria's home and Albert's home.
That's amazing.
And we were put into Queen Victoria and Prince Albert's suite. So we were given their 2 rooms and bathroom. And the bathroom of Queen Victoria's had a Victorian bath bigger than this auditorium. And also it had 3 wash hand basins. First one said hands, second one said face, third one said teeth. So I watched my husband that evening, and he started to wash his hands. I said, Robert, what are you doing? He said, I'm doing what it tells me.
So quite literal.
So I said, yeah, it's on YouTube, Patricia Quinn at the Royal Albert Hall, and I told them all about it. Because my husband said to the prince, Pat's in her show, so you've got to go and catch Pat in her show. And Sir said to me, Pat, I'm so sorry, but I could hardly turn up in suspenders and gauzes. I said no, without thinking, but you could have come as Brad the nerd. Oh God, what have I done? He says, the nerd? Yeah, in a lab coat and Y fronts. And he said, did you ever see Rowan Atkinson's play, The Nerd? I said, never. He said, it was hilarious. Got out of that.
All right, so we got to wrap up here real quick.
Okay.
Folks want to find you on the social medias if they want to see how you are living. Or are you on the social medias, on the Twitter? Or the
I'm not Twitter.
You don't Twitter?
I'm Instagram.
You have Instagram? What's your Instagram?
I don't know.
Well, they'll find you on there, right? Just like a Patricia Quinn?
Pat Quinn, I think it is. Oh, I'm not sure the name, sorry.
You can't be that hard to find. But thank you for chatting with me. You were absolutely lovely. And thank you for watching. And we'll see you next week.
Bye. Yeah. Rob Zombie and I do that. Rock and roll. Were you going to ask me about Lords of Salem?
I was, but I think we're out of time. I think we're out of time.
Okay.
I remember one time walking into a studio and Frank just standing there with Miss Piggy. Miss Piggy just for whatever reason said, oh, hello, Stephen. It affected me in a way that you can't imagine.
Right.
You know, and I've already been doing this for years. It was just that Miss Piggy spoke to me.
Yeah.
Suddenly she was not Frank anymore. You know, it was very interesting.